This coverage of MWC is brought to you by Bitdefender Mobile Security. At MWC 2014, we were introduced to Samsung's new flagship device, but we want to know how it stacks up to some of the more established ones in the space right now. Hey, it's Joshua Vergara from Android Authority. What's going on, everybody? And this is the Samsung Galaxy S5 versus the Google Nexus 5. Both the Galaxy S5 and the black version of the Nexus 5 feature a soft touch plastic back that is very similar, with the addition of a ridged pattern on the S5, perforations if you will, while the white version comes with a harder polycarbonate back when it comes to the Nexus 5. The Galaxy S5 favors a more angular design a la the Note 3, while the Nexus 5 comes with corners that are slightly more curved. The flatter sides on the Nexus 5 do allow it to be pretty easily handled, but the Galaxy S5 has this same trope as well. While its slightly larger display on the Galaxy S5 makes it a bigger device overall, the Nexus 5 is slightly thicker yet lighter than the S5. Now we move away from the glossy plastic that Samsung used to use all the time, and now both the Nexus 5 and the Galaxy S5 have the look and feel of the premium devices that they truly are. When it comes to the displays, both the Nexus 5 and the Galaxy S5 feature 1080p displays, with the Nexus 5 getting the slight edge in its pixel density due to its slightly smaller size. It's the old battle of LCD versus AMOLED, but it's very difficult to find any faults with either display. Colors pop, possibly a little bit more with the S5, but the viewing angles are still great and you'll still have a good time on either device. When it comes to the processing package, we do have to give the edge just a little bit to the Galaxy S5 for its updated version of the Snapdragon 800 that has been clocked to 2.5 GHz this time compared to the 2.3 GHz of the Nexus 5. 2 GB of RAM and the Adreno 330 round out the best processing packages currently available, guaranteeing that you'll have great speed no matter which one of these two you choose. As far as the gigahertz go, the S5 might have just a slight edge in terms of speed, but in terms of the actual performance, you probably won't have much problem with either one. 16 and 32 GB versions are available for both phones, with the S5 featuring the additional benefit of microSD expansion. The S5 also takes the lead over the Nexus 5 when it comes to the battery, as it comes with the 2800 mAh units as opposed to the 2300 mAh unit in the Nexus 5. But of course, the Galaxy S5 does also come with a removable battery, so if you have some spares on hand, you probably won't be without power for long. If the storage options and the removable battery are where Samsung started widening the gap, however, the camera is where the S5 simply blows the Nexus 5 out of the water. Issues with the Nexus 5 camera are well known, especially in its first couple months of release, and the amazing 16 megapixel ISO shooter introduced in the S5, complemented by a feature-packed camera software package, brings the issues of the adequate camera of the Nexus 5 to the forefront. And finally, when it comes to software, it's the old stock versus, well, everything else. Many Android fans do love their Nexus devices because of the fact that it runs stock Android, and its understated look inside and out do provide a nice motif in that when you start using the Nexus 5, you realize that it can get a lot of stuff done. However, the Nexus 5 did change things up a bit with the Google Now launcher that remains very minimalistic but has a major spotlight on search. Enter the new version of TouchWiz, which is based on the new version of Android 4.4 KitKat, and it is quite possibly the polar opposite of what you get with the Nexus 5. It is packed with even more features and enhancements compared to the S4 before it. You get the magazine UX, which is a second screen much like Google Now, a revamped multitasking menu, camera software with tons of features, and even a heart rate monitor on the back with the fingerprint scanner up front. There are just a lot of additions in the S5. So the S5 does offer a lot, but there's always that risk of Galaxy syndrome setting in, so how important all of these features are is entirely up to you, not only in the beginning, but later on. And so, there you have it for this quick look at the Samsung Galaxy S5 versus the Google Nexus 5. Both take on different philosophies when it comes to providing a good user experience, but one thing is for certain, both do provide a good user experience. Stay tuned for all of the best coverage of the Samsung Galaxy S5 leading up to its release in April. So keep it tuned here to Android Authority, because we are your source for all things Android.